Okay, so I'll just do I guess a quick insight, if you even want to call it that, on one page. I guess there's on one page, when I see these new advertisements, be it whatever they're advertising. A long time ago, I said a new psychological mental strategy so we could emotionally fulfill ourselves and brush away emotional baggage is we could go beyond the titles of things. I'm not saying completely, because obviously people will still want to have a mental organization or to kind of like proclaim what they are and what they've achieved. But within a different Vedic path, you could go beyond the titles. And what that will do when you go beyond the titles is you don't have to kind of like fragment what you say you are. And when you do that, that's when you could go beyond it. So on the other quick insight I missed from that last video when I was talking about when I was in that other Indian temple, I was like, one quick insight I wanted to say, and here's the main point of this mini video, is saying in a different time span and time age, if there are beings of a different energetic caliber that live up to 300 years old to 500 years old, and obviously it's a whole different parameter of living, and they talk about it in the Bible. There's beings that lived up to like 300 years, 500 years. If there are beings that live up to that age, and obviously who knows what particular dimension that is, and obviously like, the Vedic path will also say like there's some type of authentic eternality to a living, and however that's kind of graphed out is beyond the human, right? Because the human is just focused on the 3D shit, the detrimental shit, and the artificial shit to their own respective greed path, right? So if there are beings, and not saying if the environment is benevolent or malevolent, because obviously there's a mix of both, because that's just the beauty of the duality of things. Is if there are beings that live up to 300 years old to 500 years old, then 50 years old would be quite young. So even at 50 years old, you would be an adolescent in retrospect to the beings that are living and maturing on a different energetic realm, 300 to 500 years old, right? So 50 years old would be young. So there's no rush is the message. And yesterday I went inside the ocean and like there's still water stuck in one of my ears, so it's like, wow, it's like, God, you need to upgrade the human yet again. Obviously the human being is quite the creation, right? It's quite the creation for us to even eat food, and for food to go down smoothly, and for us to have like a digestive system where we could put anything in our belly, or within reason, and we're digesting that food. So that's the same shit with the spiritual field and the tech field. It's like whatever we're paying attention to, that's what we're digesting and eating and nourishing ourselves mentally. And the mental nourishment within the 3D reality, it might not always be beneficially indicative to growth, right? I just wanted to say, like, because obviously there's like mental chaos, obviously there's mental rushing energies. And the main point of this video is like, if you live to 300 years old, 500 years old, different celestial beings, particular species, then 50 years old would be young. And if 50 years old is young, even old is young. So there's no rush, and people are in their own subjective path that they could have some type of mental or spiritual adolescence in their fucking live stream, right? Live stream or whatever, original open source. So within saying that, there's no rush, and it's to trust God's plan, trust the spirit of of how Jesus receives the Father's message, and he does his best to transform and refine that message of pure benevolence to the species of the balanced modern day, Christian world, right? So we're trusting the purity of Jesus's message, how he's relying on the Father and the Holy Spirit. And the Father and the Holy Spirit, they could be multidimensional, right? And obviously there's other topics I could talk about. Soon I'm going to do tarot. And obviously if you peep my Instagram, my old Instagram, I did a book series. And within this next upcoming month, I'm actually going to do a new book series. I'm going to read a new book. It's a particular Shiva book, a Shiva yoga book. And obviously there's many, many Shiva yoga books, but there's a particular Shiva yoga book I'm going to read. And it's going to be a free course. Free course. After that, there's going to be a serious private course on a particular yoga path, right? Because yoga is multidimensional too, right? It's like yoga is in the third dimension, yoga is in the artificial realms, yoga is in the tech realms, right? So yoga is like an element, right? It's how we're using the element, it's how we're using the air, it's how we're using the fire, it's how we're using the nourishment of the water and the earth, right? So within all of that, there's no rush, right? Unless God has put you to a mission where there's some weird competition, right? Because what are we if not just but some type of strange yeah. So what are we if we're not just some type of weird ghost, right? It's like everyone could be like, on a deep retrospect background metaphysical channel, everyone could be just some type of weird ghost, right? We're a ghost that got created by some random fusion of beings. Those fusion of beings could be some type of ghost, and their forthcoming could have been from some type of context of a ghost, right? So it's a unique context of a ghost. But yeah, no rush, right? Unless God or Jesus has placed you in a mission where there's a unique competition, and you're in that competition setting where you're playing a game where there is a context of a rush, right? So mind the rush, peep the rush, be the rush to settle the rush. Thank you.